Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everyone is doing well. We are going to begin the second installment of our stories of the Churban, discussing the well-known, the famous Gemaras in Maseches Gittin here in the fifth parak, and then Vav Amid Aleph. That's where we're going to begin on the source sheet. It's really I'm just starting where we're starting, so it's the same story, it's the same daf of Gemara, but just to make it easier. I'm just starting where Shadre al Ilave is the first words that we're going to read. There is a treat. Anyone who watches the entire Shiur, that learns our entire story with us, there is an unbelievable insight that is shared by Rav Soloveitchik on the Gemara that we are going to learn together. So here we go. Shadre Ilave la aspia sinus Caesar. So the Caesar, the head of the Romans, he sends Vespasian against the Jewish people. And also tsar alei tlas shnei. So what does Vespasian do? Vespasian sets a siege, a tsar, says a siege around Yerushalayim, and this siege lasts for 3 years. Now, the Gemara gives us a famous stat. Havu bahanu tlasa atire. There were 3 atire, right? There were 3 atire. And atar is a crown. Here, this is the way the Gemara says. It talks about wealthy people, rich people. There were 3 very, very, very wealthy men in Yerushalayim. What were their names? Their names were Nakdimon ben Gurion, Nakdimon the son of Gurion, Uven Kalva Savua, and Ben Kalva Savua, Uven Tzitzis Hakesas, and Ben Tzitzis Hakesas. Those are the 3 wealthy men. Okay, obviously the problem with the siege is that there can't be really any importing or exports. No imports or exports. That's a nice Jewish business, but imports and exports are not really available during this 3-year siege that the Romans have placed around Yerushalayim. First, the Gemara is going to go to study who these people are and their specific names. Nakdimon ben Gurion. Why was he called Nakdimon ben Gurion? Shenokto lo chama ba'avur. The Gemara in Tainus tells a story because it once happened where the sun miraculously nakad means to pierce, to puncture the clouds on his behalf. We're not going to study that story. The second is Ben Kalba Savua. Ben Kalba Savua is most well known. Why? Because he was the father-in-law of Rabbi Akiva. He was Rabbi Akiva's shver. He didn't get along. Rabbi Akiva did not get along with his shver. So he is Ben Kalba Savua. Why was he called Ben Kalba Savua? So if we look at the words, if we look at the Aramaic words, Kalba sounds like Kelev, like a dog, and Savua sounds from to be satiated, to be satisfied, right? Ve'achalta v'savata uve'rachta. I have to ve'achalta, you eat. V'savata, you satiate yourself. And then uve'rachta, you have to bench. I had a Rebbe in high school who, after we ate lunch, we just went, we ran outside, right away, we went to play ball on nice days. And me and my friends are running outside, and he goes, how was lunch? So one of my friends, a smart aleck kid, goes, V'achalta v'savata. We ate, we enjoyed the lunch, and v'savata, and now we're satiated, now we're full. So the Rebbe goes, Uveirachta, and we're like, I think we should go back upstairs and bench. So why is he called Ben Salva? Why is he called Ben Kalba Savua? Keshehu Ra'ev Kekelev, because when a person was Ra'ev Kekelev, when he was as hungry as a dog, Yotze Keshu Savev, he would go into Ben Kalba Savua's house. He would go in as hungry as a dog, but he would leave, right? He would leave satiated. Yotze Keshu Saveh, he would leave as he was very, very satisfied. So we have Nakdimon ben Gurion, then we have Ben Kalva Savua, and finally we have Ben Tzitzis HaKeses. So it's probably going to have something to do with Tzitzis, right? Ben Tzitzis HaKesef. Shahaisa Tzitzaso Nigureres Al Gabe Ksasos. Because whenever he walked, his tzitzis, he wore very, very long tzitzis that would Nigureres Al Gabe Ksasos, and that would drag on these cushions. It would trail behind him on these like little cushions. So first of all, it's very interesting because either the Mishnah Brura writes that, or the Shulchan Aruch might write that a person, when you wear a tzitzis, you're really a talis. You're a talis. You should be very, very careful not to have your tzitzis drag on the ground. And there's a machlokas as to why the halacha is that way. Is it because like I would probably think, right, as most intuitive to think, is that it's not respectful, right? I wouldn't put my lulav on the floor. I wouldn't leave my talis bag on the floor. I wouldn't, I don't think we leave our menorahs on the floor, chanukiot on the floor. What is it? What is it? What? Therefore, I'm not going to put my tzitzis on the floor. No, I think the Berhetiv writes that we shouldn't really drag our tzitzis on the floor. Why? Because someone accidentally could step on the tzitzis and then they could rip and then they could be not kosher. So machlokas, how it is. But here, and maybe that's the reason why what? Why he, and this I think is telling us how wealthy he was. His tzitzis were so long, right? So maybe that's maybe that's telling me a little bit that he's a wealthy man. But they wouldn't drag on the floor. They would drag al ksasos, on like cushions. He would be almost like walking on pillows, or people maybe would be following him so that it wouldn't drag, and it was almost like a kavod. Parenthetically, we know that that when the Jews were, Rashi tells us that when the Jews were traveling in the midbar, right, in the midbar, so the Anani Kavod, part of the miracle of the Anani Kavod was it would launder our clothing, and also it would kind of like come under our feet. So it was almost as if we were walking like very, very comfortable on very comfortable ground. There are those that say no. Why was he called Ben Tzitzis HaKeses? Shaisa Kisto Muteles Ben Gedolei Rome. He was such a chashav person that his kisei, that his chair, that his throne was always amongst the Gedolei Rome, the Gadol, the Gedolim of Rome, the important leaders of Rome. This second opinion, right, is basically saying that his name was Tzitzis, or Ben Tzitzis. Maybe his father was Tzitzis. Ben Kisitz HaKeses. Right, Keses is only the cushions or not cushions, but the chair. Right, the first one is the first name. First, I guess, rationale for his name or the etymology of his name is focused on tzitzis. The second opinion is focused more on Hakasas, I guess his last name or whatever. Okay, fine. That really doesn't. Those three players are important players. Their names aren't so important to us, to our learning right now. Chad Amar Lahu. So one of these three rich men, meaning we don't know whether it's Ben Kabba Savu or Tzitzis HaKeses or Nakdim Ben Gurion. One of them says, you know what? We have to help out the Jewish people. We have to help out the Jewish people. I'm going to sustain the Jewish people with wheat and barley. One of them says, you know what? I'm going to do my part. I'm going to play my role. I'm going to help with the chamra. Chamra is wine. The milcha is melach. Melach is salt. Umishcha. So I'm going to provide for all of Klal Yisrael. I'm going to provide what? Wine, salt, and oil. Not all of Klal Yisrael, just the people in Yerushalayim, seemingly. V'chad amar lahu, and one says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do b'tzive. I'm going to help with wood. I'm going to help with wood. So you have one guy that's going to play his role with wheat and barley. One person is going to help his with wine, salt, and oil. And the third is going to provide wood. V'shabchu rabbanon l'tzive. And the rabbanon praised more. So the biggest donation, the most important donation is the one who's going to give the wood. Right? The Rav Chisda kol aklidei hava masar l'shamei. Why? Because Rav Chisda, we get a little story that shows that the wood is the most important. Is by Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda would one time he would give all of his keys over to his shamei, his shamis, his attendant, right? Bar mitzvah, except for the key to the wood room, the storehouse, the closet, the storage room for the wood. The Amar Rav Chisda. Achlava dichite boy shitin achlivei ditzive, right? Because to bake a storehouse full of wheat into bread requires 60 storehouses of wood. Meaning wood is so much more important, right? That's how they would cook. That's how they would heat their houses. Okay, the Gemara is saying just that the guy who was donating the wood, that was the greatest donation. Okay, these rich men, these wealthy men had enough supplies and money and this and that to sustain the residents of Yerushalayim for 21 years. Esrim v'chad shata. Havu buhu hanhu biryonim. But there were these biryonim. The biryonim are like thugs. They were these punks who just wanted to fight the Romans, and they didn't want to go. They didn't want to go and do anything the peaceful way. They were biryone. They were thugs. They were punks. Amr luhu rabban. And the rabbi said to the biryonim, let's make peace. Let's work this out. Let's have real diplomacy. We'll do our part. The Romans will do their part, and hopefully we'll be able to fix the situation, and we'll be able to make all things better. Lo shavkinu, the yonim lo shavkinu. They didn't buy it. They didn't hold of it. The rabbi. They then said to the rabbis, right? Let us krava. Let's come close to them. Meaning, let's just fight them. It's not going to be successful. You think, you're like, it's like a guy thinks he's a tough guy, thinks he can take on the world, right? You're the best kid in the yeshiva, yeshiva league, and you think all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to be drafted into the NBA. Cool it a little bit. So the rabbis are telling the Brionim, you're like a tough Jew, right? You're a tough Jew. Great book, Tough Jews by Rich Cohen. You should read it about Jewish gangsters. Lo mistayi milsa. So you're not going to be successful. The Brionim don't really care what the rabbis say, and what do? So what do they do? Disgusting move. They basically burn down all of the storehouses of the wheat and the barley. V'hava kafna. And now what happens? There's a famine in Yerushalayim. So there's a famine in Yerushalayim because of the siege. All this stuff that they had, that they bought, that they produced, that they donated, the Biryonim messed that up. Okay, now the Gemara is going to tell an aside story of the wealthiest woman in Yerushalayim, and to see how bad things got. And what was her name? Marta Bas Baitus. Marta Bas Baisus Atirta. Right, that same word, Atira, like a crown. Okay, you have a girl. Very often you'll have a girl's name being Atara. Why is her name Atara? Atara means a crown, but here in the Gemara is using it, as we said earlier, that it means wealthy. Marta Bas Baitus. Atirta di Yerushalayim Havi. She was the wealthiest woman in Yerushalayim. Shadu l'shluchei v'amrelei. She sends her agent, her whatever it's called, her assistant, her shamus, to Zil Aitile Smida. Please go. We're starving or whatever. We there's going to be a famine. You're not going to be able to get toilet paper. You're not going to be able to get a hand sanitizer. Right? Go and get me some. Smida is bread made of fine flour. The azil is the ben. By the time she went out, there was none of that bread left. Smida leka chivarta ika. So they said there's no smida, right? There's no the good bread. Get me white bread, right? She lived in LA. White bread wasn't so chashiv, right? No one eats white bread. Smida leka, she's very health conscious. Chivarta ika. There is white bread. Amrlei zilaisi. So go get me the white bread. The Aussies dubbing. By the time she went, it was already sold out. Also, when she comes back, she's not the sharpest tool in the box. You'll see. Chivarta leka gushkara ika. No, they don't have any white bread. Rather, they have this coarse bread, this gushkara ika. Rashi keeps telling us that if you look at the Rashi, keeps telling us that it's just a lower level of bread. Amrullah zilaisi. So go get me this coarse bread, this gushkara bread. The Aussies dubbing. Once she goes out again, it was sold out. Asava Amar La comes back and tells me Gushkara Leka Kimta Desari Ika. They didn't have the Gushkara, they had the bread made of barley. Amar La Zilai Sila. I mean, the guy should just really know that, okay, I'm gonna get the best thing. I'm gonna get the best thing that is available. I gotta stop going back and forth, right? Because what happens? The Alzi is the bin, right? By the time the attendant, the agent goes back to the store, it was already sold. Hava Shlifa Misani Armo, right? Now, what happens? Although she wasn't, Gemara says, although she wasn't wearing shoes, she said, you know what? You stink. Maybe you're fired. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go whether to be able to see. I'm going to go and try to find something that perhaps I can go and eat. And she's not wearing her shoes. What happens? All of a sudden, okay, apologize for being crass. She steps on some dung. Okay, someone had an animal, and they don't no laws where you have to clean up your animal back in the times of the Gemara. She steps in the dung, and all of a sudden she dies. Right? Eisi leparda bechar umesa kari ale Rabbi Yochanan Zakai haraka bechav anuga asher lo nista chaf rag la. So what happened? So Rabbi Yochanan heard about this story of Marta Barbatus, and he quotes the pasuk from Parshas Kisavo, that what's going to happen? Haraka, the soft ones, like the delicate, the pampered women, right? They're gonna die by the sole of their feet. Meaning she was such a clean, cleansed woman. Like, stepping on that was so gross to her. It was so putrid, and she just couldn't live. She collapsed and she died. Some say that's not the story. That's not how she died. But rather, Ika de Amri, there are those that say no. She did, the way she died was Grogros de Rebbe Tzadok Achla, that she had eaten one of the grogros, one of the dried figs of Rebbe Tzadok, V'itnisa umesa, and she became nauseated. She became gross. She became grossed out by eating one of Rebbe Tzadok's dried figs, and she died. What does that mean? He had like tons of dried figs out there? No. Rebbe Tzadok, you're going to see, and we're going to come back to Rebbe Tzadok later. The Rebbe Tzadok Yossi v'arba inshnim b'tanisa. Rebbe Tzadok, the tzaddik Rebbe Tzadok, and I think I want to do a shiur of some of the stories of Rebbe Tzadok, because he was a relentless faster, as you can see from this story. But he, Rebbe Tzadok, has some amazing stories about fasting. But here, Rebbe Tzadok, he saw the impending Churban that was coming. He read the writing on the walls. He would not have stayed in Europe. He would have gotten out as quickly as possible. So what did he do? He didn't leave Yerushalayim, but he started fasting, and he fasted for 40 years. Why? The Loli Chariv Yerushalayim, so that Yerushalayim, his fasting was so that Yerushalayim would not be destroyed. Ki hava achil midei, but he was so thin, it's almost like cartoonish, right? When in cartoons, you have the really, really skinny whatever, and they eat, and you could see, let's say they're eating a cookie or something. You see the cookie coming down, it's like going through, right? I have a kid that sometimes I feel like he's so thin, when he eats something, you could almost like see the food coming down into his system. So what would he do? He wouldn't really be able to eat the whole fig. So he would suck the juice out of the fig and then throw it away. So the second opinion is, how did Marta Bas Baitus die? She was so grossed out because she had ended up having to eat this I guess like half chewed and very dried fig, because all the liquid was taken out by Rebbe Tzadok, and she ate that, and ultimately she died. V'chihava bari, okay, when he nourished, this is talking about Rebbe Tzadok, when Rebbe Tzadok would nourish himself right after his fasts, ma'isi le gerogros, right? They brought him to Javan. Ma'itz, he would take the juice, he would suck the juice. Ma'isi v'shadili. Kihava kanecha nafshi, and as Martha was dying, apikta l'chol dahava v'kaspa. She took all out of her. She took all her gold and silver that she was wearing, all of it, and she threw it all over the market. Shidise beshuka. She threw it in the shuk. She threw it in the marketplace. Amra, hi lemaimi barley. Why do I need this for? She said basically, like, I'm dying. I don't need any of this, right? It's important yesod. She's the wealthiest woman in the world, and once she's dying, she says, I'm not taking this to the next world, right? So she says, maisi legro. She said, dichsiv kasem mechutu shashichu. Right, in Yeshayahu or in Yirmiyahu, the Gemara says, the pasuk says that in the time of the Churban, people are just going to be so done with everything, they're going to be throwing all their valuables into the streets of Yerushalayim. B'chutzos yashlichu tashlich. They're going to throw it into the streets. Just an interesting thing, first of all. Rabbi Tzadok, the Tzitz Eliezer, Rav Eliezer Waldenberg, who was one of the great poskim in the 1900s, in the late 1900s. He was, I think, the Rav of the Shari Tzedek Hospital. He has many tshuvas in medicine, but he does have a tshuva about fasting, and probably it's connected to a medicinal question of health. He was asked about fasting on Shabbos, and he quoted this Gemara. He said, "You're not allowed to fast on Shabbos." What are you talking about? Oh, Rabbi Tzadok fasted for 40 years. He didn't fast for 40 years. He would have many fasts over 40 years, and he's medayik. He reads Rashi very closely, and Rashi is ta'anisav, right? His many fasts, right? So he would fast a ton. He would fast more than just many people fast, or some people fast Mondays and Thursdays. He would fast very often, but it wasn't one long fast for 40 days, and then all of a sudden he got the dried figs. No. He would fast very often. He had it was Ramadan on steroids. Okay, I can't believe I just said that. Okay, here we go. We'll try to block that out. Abba Sikra, next part of the story. Abba Sikra Reish Biryoni Yerushalayim. Okay, Abba Sikra was the head of their Biryon. Now we're going to get to the good part, to the juicy part that Rav Tzadok had. Abba Sikra Reish Biryoni Yerushalayim. Abba Sikra was one of the heads of the Biryone, these thugs in Yerushalayim. But he was Bar Achte Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, right? But he was the son, okay? He was the nephew of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. His mother was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's sister, okay? So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is the uncle. Abba Sikra is the nephew. Shalach lei, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sent for him, needed to get a message to Abba Sikra, okay, the head of the Brionim. Tabit Sina legabai. He says, come to me, bitsina, right? Sinius, but in secret. Asai comes, Amar lei, ad emas abdisu achi. How long are you going to act this way? How long are you going to be like, doing this? How long are you going to be acting where ultimately like we're going to starve, right? V'katlinu leila alma b'chafna. Everyone's going to die b'chafna. Everyone's going to die of this ra'av, of this famine, in starvation. Amar le Abba Sikra says, "My yavid, how could I do? How could I do this? Di amino luhu midekadi. Because if I speak out, even though I guess, which is a weird thing, right? You would think that the followers would follow Abba Sikra, that he could tell them what to do. But no, sometimes the mob, right? Sometimes the mob is so much stronger even than the leader, and the leader can't really get them under control. So he says, what are they going to do, right? If I say anything, if I try to go against what they're like, what they're rabble rousing about, so what's going to happen? They're going to kill me. Amar lei. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says to him, you got to get me out of this city. You got to find me a way for me to get out of this city. Because maybe I could have a Hatzala Porta. We're going to see this later. Hatzala Porta is a small Hatzala. Hatzala means like saving. I need to be able to like help out the Jewish people in at least some type of small way. Sometimes when I want I need $1,000, but someone gives me $100, it's a Hatzala Porta. Hatzala Porta also helps. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, Abba Sikra, you got to control the streets, right? You got to get me out of here. So Abba Sikra says back to him, Nakot nafshach b'kitzire. You have to fake that you're sick. Get word out that you're sick. V'leisi kuli alma lishleichu bach. And then let everyone come and ask you about it. Meaning, words got it. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the leader of the Jewish people at the time. So if he's getting sick, if he's falling, if he's becoming ill, word's going to travel. That's going to be a big deal. That's going to make a difference. Right? And then now what's going to do? You're going to have to take something that really smells. Try to get something that really smells bad. Sari the agve gabach. And put it next to you. The lamru, and what's going to happen once Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is sick, and all of a sudden there's this disgusting smell that's emanating from his house, from wherever he lived, in his tent, wherever he lived, right? They're going to say v'lamru dinach nafshi, that his nefesh lie down, that he died. Right? That's the way the Gemara sometimes calls a person who dies. Dinach nafshi, he died, and that's where the body is smelling, right? And then you'll have your students come. They'll come in. They'll take the body, right? Loli ol bach inush achrina, and don't let anybody else enter into your bed. You'll have your students, and they're the ones that have to carry you. They're going to have to carry you out. Why? Because there's an Isser. We don't bury people in Yerushalayim. The old city of Yerushalayim, you weren't allowed to bury people. Rashi mentions it in Sefer Vayikra somewhere. The Rambam paskins this way in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, that we don't bury people in the old city of Yerushalayim. The inu yadi dechai kalil mimesa, right? Only his students will come. They're going to carry him out, right? And you can't let anybody else carry you out. Why? Because we have a klal in life. The inu, right? We know the klal dead weight, so the Gemara knows about dead weight. The inu yadi dechai kalil mimesa, because they're going to lift you up, right? And they're going to realize this isn't dead weight. This guy's alive. Okay, right? That halacha is we'll skip that. Okay, Avid Hachi. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai did exactly as his nephew, as Abba Sikra told him. That what happened once he was dead, right? Rabbi Eliezer and Yeshua, his Talmidim came in. Rabbi Eliezer from one side and Rabbi Yeshua from the other side. Right? When they reached the gates, okay. So what happened? There was one of the Biryonim was at the was guarding the gate, and he wanted he wanted to stab Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the man, right? They know who they're taking out. They wanted to make sure that he was dead. Right? You should say the Romans should say that what's going to happen is if you stab Yochanan ben Zakkai, word's going to get out that the Jews stab their rabbis. This is how they treat their fallen leaders. What happened? So then the Bar Yunim wanted just to move him around, see if he was really up. Right? If you push, you're a live person is gonna react to that. So they're gonna say, oh no, we can't do that either. Why? Because the Romans are gonna hear, and they're gonna hear that we don't treat our leaders responsibly. Okay. Furthermore, he comes to Rabbi Yochanan Magen Zakkai comes to Vespasian. He's brought to Vespasian, and he says, Amar Shloma Aloch Malka Shlom Alach Malka Shalom Aleichem Shalom Aleichem. Good. So Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai and Vespasian. This is a big deal. Okay. Vespasian says to Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, he says, you're liable to death on two accounts. Mechayves treik tal. I should kill you for two reasons. Chada delav malka ana, because I'm not a king and you're calling me a king, right? Delav malka ana v'kakaris malka. You're calling me king and I'm not king. V'su, and furthermore, I malka ana. If I am a king, why have you come yet? Right? You now you're coming. If I was king, you should have come a long time ago. Ata idna amay lo asisa legabe. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai says, the kamart lav malka ana. To the point, your point is, I'm not a king now. You can't call me a king. Ibra malka at. Your truth is, you're destined to be a king. You're going to be ultimately the king. The ilav malka at. Why? Because if you weren't destined to be the king, so lo mimsra Yerushalayim. So Yerushalayim would not be given over to you. How do we know that Yerushalayim is going to be given over to you? Dichsiv v'halevanon ba'adir yipol. Right? Yerushalayim is called Levanon. Ha'ar hazeh v'halevanon. Rashi says here beautifully. Why is Yerushalayim discussed? Why is the Beis Hamikdash, described as Halevanon? Because Lavan means white, right? So when we come to the Beis Hamikdash, we give karbanos, our sins, we are purified, we are whitened at that point. He quotes a couple of psukim. Okay, and then they get back into a little bit of a back and forth. We are going to skip to the words Adehachi Asi Pristika Ale Mirome. In the meantime, there was this messenger for Vespasian arrived from Rome. Amar Le, he says to Vespasian, Kum demisle Kesar v'amri hanu chashivi deromi le'osivach v'reisha. Arise, he tells him big news. Caesar died, and now what happens? Caesar died, and now you need to go back. You're going to become the leader of all the Romans, of the Roman Empire. Hava siem chad misani. And Vespasian at this point was wearing one of his shoes. Right, and he tried to put on his shoes, but his shoes weren't going to fit because he got such good news, so his body almost expanded. It swelled up. He was so excited. So Amar Mahi says, what's going on? Rabbi Yochanan says to Vespasian, what's going on? Amar Le, Rabbi Yochanan answers him, Lo titztar shma tova asyalach. I just heard a great thing, right? Don't be scared, don't be nervous. Tichsiv shma tova ditashiretsem, right? Your limbs expand, they fatten when you hear a good thing. Elamaita kanta. So how should I deal with this? I can't put my shoes on. You should think about someone that you don't like. Think of someone you hate. You'll calm down, or someone you don't like. I guess maybe someone parv. You go, and your body will cool itself. Okay. Avad hachi ayil. Vespasian did this, and his shoe went on. Mazel tov. Big deal. Okay. Amar le Vespasian then says to Rabbi Yochanan, umei acher dechminu kulei hai. And since you're so wise, Vespasian, since you know, since you know so much, you were the one who said that I was going to become the king. So he said, why haven't you come and tell me? Why didn't you come? I answered you. The part that we skipped. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai explains why he waited till now to come. Amar le. Vespasian says, Ananami amrilach. I also answered you back and forth. Amar le. I'm going back to Rome. Now I'm Vespasian. I'm going to be the new Caesar, right? I'm going to be the new head. I'm going back. I got to go to my office. I got to go to the castle. I got to go wherever, right? And I'm going to now switch. I'm going to send one of my lesser thens, my reportees, right? I'm going to send him to lead to be the man over Yerushalayim. So you know what? Ask me anything. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm going back. I could do what I want to do. I have complete control over everything. Do you want anything? Is there anything I can do for you? Obviously, there was some type of mutual respect. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai might have been just an external respect of Vespasian, just because he needed to save his life and he needed to do something for the Jewish people. But it seems like in this conversation, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai has earned the respect of Vespasian. So he asks for three things. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai now is asked, basically, you have a wish. What do you want? It's fair game. It's open to everything. And as Rav Soloveitchik is going to say, this is right now the greatest dilemma in human history. The greatest dilemma that anyone was ever faced with. Every Holocaust shaila, every other shaila people have dealt with over millennia. Rabbi Soloveitchik argues that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's dilemma right now of what to ask Vespasian for was the greatest dilemma in human history. So he says, what are my three? He says, there's three things. Ten li Yavne v'chachameha. Give me Yavne, give me the city of Yavne and its sages, all of the great rabbis that are learning Torah. Keep them alive. Don't hurt them. Don't kill them. Don't decimate them. Don't get rid of them. That's one. That's my first request. V'shushilta de Rabbi Gamliel. And preserve the shushilta, the chain of the family of Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel, right? Gamliel, that was the Davidic dynasty, because ultimately Mashiach's going to come from that. All of Malchus comes from that. Now Rabbi Gamliel, this was a smart thing, because Rabbi Gamliel was only 17 at the time. So what is Vespasian? He wasn't a major leader. So here already, what's Rabbi Yochanan? He has all the Torah learners, many of the Torah learners in Yavne. He says, oh, that's important. Then we have the Davidic dynasty. We have Jewish leadership and monarchy. We need to keep that. And and also, I want you to please send a doctor to heal Rabbi Tzadok. The Rabbi Tzadok who was fasting for 40 years, the big tzaddik, right? Now everyone understands that just a doctor to save one Rabbi Tzadok, everyone understands that inspirational personalities, inspirational people, right? They have a major potency for their followers, right? I think it's called Der Strumer. What was the paper, the Nazi paper, newspaper? They had like wanted signs for the Shabina Rav and for many of the Belzer Rebbe. Why? Because they knew that if they could find these Rabbanim, there would be a lot of yeyish, there would be a lot of sadness, and the Jewish people would give up. If they don't have their inspirational leaders, right, they could give up, and there's just going to be so much depression and so much sadness. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says we need to make sure that Rabbi Tzadok is healthy, because he's an inspirational person. So tell him, Yavne v'chachameha, Shishulta de Rabbi Gamliel, and get me a doctor for Rabbi Tzadok. Okay? What did he not ask for? It's fair game. He could go for broke, right? It's a Hail Mary. He's got a Hail Mary. Why did he not do that? Right? Why did he not do that? And that's the question that that the Gemara is going to ask. It's Rabbi Yosef or Rabbi Akiva. Kari ale Rabbi Yosef, Itema Rabbi Akiva. Nachlokas, who argued Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai? Was it Rabbi Yosef or Rabbi Akiva? And they say, right? He says, he quotes a pasuk to basically say your thinking was all messed up, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Let them alone, meaning leave Yerushalayim. Don't destroy the Beis Hamikdash. That's great. That's great. The doctor for Rabbi Tzadok. But you're the biggest one. Why'd you leave off the biggest request? The biggest request is don't destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Don't destroy Yerushalayim. Why didn't you go for broke? Why didn't you ask that? V'hu savar, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai thought, he says, Dilma kulei high. Maybe you know what? If I push too high, if I push too strong, if my request and my wish was too great, maybe they wouldn't have answered them. They wouldn't have said yes. Dilma kulei high lo avid. That Hatzala Purta, there's that phrase. I was hoping for at least a Hatzala Purta nami lo have. Right? And right? If they wouldn't have given me not to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, it would have been zero. It's not like, we'll destroy the Beis Hamikdash, we'll get a doctor. He said, no, I had to be smart in that moment. Okay, then the Gemara, this little piece of the Gemara, we'll end the Gemara piece here. Then I want to focus on one other piece. You got to stay. This is the best piece. Okay, basically how the doctors basically fed Rebbe Tzadok. That the first time Yom Kama Ashkim, they dipped like bran in water, and then they fed him that water, and all of a sudden they got his stomach, I guess, a little bit bigger and a little bit healthier. The Gemara in Brachos tells us that when Rebbe Yochanan got sick, let's read this Gemara. It's the second source, obviously. Ukeshechala Rebbe Yochanan ben Zakkai. When Rebbe Yochanan ben Zakkai became ill, when he became sick, Nichnesu Talmidav Levakro. Well, his Talmidim came in to basically either say goodbye or wish him well or get a bracha here, right? Once they saw him, once Rebbe Yochanan ben Zakkai saw his Talmidim, he started to cry. Talmidim said, "Why are you crying?" Right? What's their assumption? Their assumption is you're going to Gan Eden. The tzaddik and the leader of the generation. What are you crying about? Right? So he gives them a whole speech. He says, you know why? Because if it was a human king, so the human king, what could I do to him? I could bribe the human king. I could sweet talk the human king, and you know what? Maybe I would lower my punishment. Maybe I would be able to get out of trouble or whatever, lessen my punishment. But I'm going to God. God takes bribes. God, I could sweet talk God. Oh, I'm about to get killed. I'm just going to say to Hillel, I don't know. Maybe that works. I shouldn't say that, right? But you can't play games with God. God knows what you're doing. So he says, V'lo od, in the last little end of the Gemara, v'lo od, not only this, that's not the only reason I'm crying, because I'm going to God, and whatever my judgment is, there's no really changing that. Really, but also in front of me lies two drachim, two paths. Achas, one of them is Shal Gan Eden. One of them is Gan Eden, it's heaven. Achas Shal Gehenim. And there was another, and the other one is Gehenim. There's Gan Eden, paradise, heaven, whatever, and Gehenim, which is, let's say, hell, right? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm going. I say that. I'm going to say that. I have no clue where I'm going, right? Many of you are going to say that. But Yochanan Zakkai is going to say that. Velovka is rhetorical. And I'm not going to cry. So what does that mean? What was Rabbi Yochanan? Why did Rabbi Yochanan say, I might be going to Gan Eden, I might be going to Gan Eden? That's not, I don't know. And I don't think any real tzaddik, any real gadol, any real saintly person would ever admit it. But and maybe that's why they're saintly. That's maybe why they're such tzaddikim, is that maybe they're so humble. But I don't know. I would assume that that the Lubavitcher Rebbe knew that he was going to Gan Eden, right? I mean, what he's done. Look at the Vilna Gaon. Look at whomever you're going to look at. They should. Maybe they want a better spot in Gan Eden. I don't know, front seats, whatever, on the wood. That's what they call the people that sit on the front row in basketball games. Their feet are on the wood. On the wood, I don't know. Maybe they're going to be the second row. I have no clue. Right, but to think that he's not going to Gan Eden, that he's going to go to Gehenna. So the Rav in this book called Chamesh Drashot, Chamesh Drashot, the Rav in the 60s gave, I think 5 years in a row, he gave an annual lecture to the Mizrahi movement, and there were these beautiful addresses. So they're all called the Chamesh Drashot, the 5 addresses, and they're all written up in English in this book. So in the first address, he ends his drasha, he ends his shiur with this Gemara. The commentators all ask, what was the intent of the last phrase about the two paths? The answer given is that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was hinting at a great worry that had beset his mind all the years since the destruction of the temple that he dwelt in Yavne. Once, long ago, he rendered a decision involving a very difficult question, and he was not certain that he had decided correctly. His whole life, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai went to bed every single night thinking, did I do the wrong thing? Was Rabbi Akiva right? Should I have gone for broke? Should I have asked to keep to not destroy the Beis HaMikdash? And then he goes through the story. Okay, goes through the story. On the one hand, it appeared to him that he could have influenced Vespasian to spare Yerushalayim, as Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Akiva thought. Right. However, how great was his distress? What mental anguish he suffered? How many restless nights and sorrow-filled days ensued for Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai because of this doubt? We cannot even imagine it. Thus it was that in the last moments of his life, when parting from his disciples, he declared that above all else, he most feared the reckoning that he would have to render before God for his decision. I get chills when I read this. There were two paths, one correct, the other not correct. One leading to paradise, the other to hell. But when it comes to such decisions, no man born of woman can know if he had taken the correct path. Right? If the great Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai never ceased blaming himself for that historic decision, or surely the dilemma of the two paths must always be before us as well. We should not vaingloriously assume. Don't vaingloriously assume. Okay, I went to dictionary.com. I know what that word means now. Right? We should not vaingloriously assume that our actions are always the right ones. unbelievable that this story and this question of Rabbi Akiva, that we are now, he's the hero. Obviously, history has proven that he was correct. The Jewish people survived with Torah, right? We don't need, this doesn't sound, we don't need the building of the Beis HaMikdash, but we need the Torah and the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that was in it. So Temli Yavne v'Chachma did save Yerushalayim, but Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai didn't know that when he was on his deathbed. Beautiful. That story, that's the core of the story. We're going to get to Titus HaRasha. Next week, we're going to discuss the stories of Titus HaRasha. Everyone should have a marvelous, marvelous day, and please do not ever be vaingloriously assured of yourself. Have a great day, great week. Bye.